It says my mic is not working, but I don't believe it. Okay, we are just about live. 4 minutes to go, but we are live right now. What's that, Mary? I can't hear anything right now. I'm on live. Talk? I am talking. You don't hear a thing, huh? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Starting the stream. Yep. There's a delay, so. Three minutes. Oh, we got a comment. Of course, the glasses glare. We are makeshift here tonight because my house was flooded and everything's disarrayed. We haven't had any sleep. We've been throwing stuff in the studio. We can't find anything. So this is the best we can do tonight. Pretend it's a podcast and turn off the picture. Thank you, Mark. All right. Kind of looks cool. Maybe I should put my shades on. fact, this microphone isn't even working. I'm using these right now because I have this whole mixer set up over here and all this fancy stuff, nice mic, but didn't have time to connect it. But it looks cool, doesn't it? Herman's by my side, so I think it's time to start. Fade down the music. And there we go. So, okay. Go back to comments. Like that, Doc? It's like acid glasses. We'll fix this when we do another one. The real thing, because I'll have time to set up everything properly and have the right lighting and all that stuff. So we're lucky to have this. So, and it's probably really fuzzy, the image, because uh, I'm on DSL here now. Not Roadrunner, but that's who they formerly were. Spectrum came out today, and because we have blazing fast fiber optics, finally they put them in the street. Ventura County and the city let them do it a while ago, but they couldn't get to the utility room to install the cable, which came into this part here. There's the glasses, Doc. Because Jason and Christian took the week off, and they have the key because there's some holiday you might have heard of. I've never been a holiday that I preferred, so I think it's called New Year's. Anyway, so we're stuck with this. We got low bandwidth, glaring glasses, hopefully decent audio until I get this hooked up. But after canceling, I think twice because of what has happened, I wanted to do something, and this was the first chance we got. I mean, we literally worked right up till we got here to within an hour and a half of the show. You can't imagine how hard Mary's worked, to the point of absolute being stupid headed, as well as I am too. I may sound good to you right now, but it's all an act. 55 years in Hollywood. Hey, everybody, I'm great. Yeah. Okay. Roll camera. Well, let me start, because these shows are short. At the beginning, it was Mary and I had a lovely day. We went shopping on the main street here in Ventura, which is basically a turn of the century street. Old buildings, even a lot of them were built prior to that, and they've been turned into little shops. And we gave ourselves a target of money to spend, and we went through all these little shops to look to buy something for each other. And we never found anything that we wanted to buy each other, so we didn't get anything. But we had a really great day. We had a lovely time together, and we went home and had a great evening, and watched some TV. We watched Y-Files. We watched some TV shows, and we laughed and we giggled, and we said, "What a great day!" We went to bed. Around 1 o'clock, I woke up to a sound I couldn't identify. It sounded like a freight train coming, and the freight train. Let me close this a little bit. Some noises out there, just a little distracting. Anyway, so I got up to look out the window, because the sound was so loud that our wave generator could not be heard in the room. When we use a wave generator, it helps us sleep. It cancels out a lot of background noise and that kind of thing. So I got up, I looked out the window, and what I saw, I couldn't believe. I just saw a sheet of water coming off our roof, and it looked like someone poured a giant, huge bucket onto the roof nonstop. And there was no dribbles, there was no stream coming off. It was just a sheet, and it was so strong that you couldn't see through it much to the walkway outside and the night lights that were around our little condo. I knew this was bad, but I thought we'll be okay because there's a big storm drain runs down the middle of Channel Island near the base. It's huge. It's like a big river in itself. So we'll be all right. We've had rain before and it's always been fine. But you know what? I knew we never had anything like this before. It was severe. Um, I went back to bed and slept for about another hour and woke up to Mary, who got out of bed to go to the bathroom. And she says, "Oh my God, we're flooding." And I immediately shot up. She turned the lights on. I looked down, and there's about, 3, 4 inches of water in our bedroom, and you could see a current in it. So we got dressed. I got dressed rather quickly. I walked out into the living room, and there were things floating around and a current coming in. I opened the front door, and a very large amount of water came in. So the door is actually blocking back the water, but I had to open it because I had to get out. So I opened up the door and looked out, and I couldn't see the sidewalk. The lights were just barely at the top of it. It was very dramatic. The rain had actually stopped. It was just barely sprinkling. So I told Mary, "You get some stuff together. I'm going to get to the motorhome." I went and checked the garage, and what I saw was shocking. As I it was much deeper in the backyard, and when I got to the door to the garage, I opened it up, and our Subaru had water uh, up over the tires. It was that high, so I knew that car was done, and probably the alley was even deeper, which it was. So to make a long story short, Mary got some stuff together I thought we'd need. I went out immediately without a phone or anything, and I wandered through the water out to where the motorhome was parked, which was pretty far away. Luckily, it was above the water. The water was just starting to come into the side door, so some water got into the cab, but not much. I immediately started it. It started. I moved it, and I looked for some higher ground, and I got it there, which put it even further away. And then for 3 hours, Mary put stuff together, gave it to me, and I waded through sometimes waist-high water to get to it. I did this for 3 hours. Finally, we left. Um, the water after 3 hours had gone down enough I could get nearer to us in an alley. I parked the car there. We got Nova in there and Mary and the rest of our stuff. And amazingly, we drove to the studio and it was like nothing happened. Now, the official report was over 6 billion gallons of water had dropped in 1 hour. That's unheard of. 4 inches in an hour. And the usual places that flooded last time we had some heavy rain didn't, because whatever they did something to improve it. So all the way to the studio, which is about a 15, 16-minute drive, it was wet and it was pretty out, and there was nobody on the road. And, because by now it's 5 a.m. We got to the studio, we opened the door, and everything was fine inside. There's Charlotte, our Spider sports car, Fiat, sitting there, wagging her tail. Everything was dry. It's nice and warm in the front offices. And we sat there in disbelief. It was so surreal. We put together a cot, and I dragged out this couch we have. It's not very big, and we went to sleep. Uh, and that was it. We got some sleep. We didn't get much sleep. We got up and went back to the house. And from that point on till today, 10 days, we spent on the average of 8 hours there uh, with some help getting stuff out of the house that could be saved. And it was brought here to the studio. And then 2 days ago, the movers came, and the movers got out what furniture to survive, and our bed and some things like that, because our bed was metal and it was up high. So we got everything out of the house in that 10-day period. Combination of movers, combination of friends helping. We probably threw more stuff into the trash than we did actually save anything. A lot of my computers were trashed. My beautiful professional editing um, widescreen, like 37-inch wide curved screen, high definition set. Even though it wasn't in the water, the moisture was so intense, it killed it. I lost a lot of equipment. Luckily, we saved this wonderful laptop I'm on right now. Thank you, Dr. Chris Landon for this laptop, because if I didn't have this, we wouldn't be doing this or anything else. I'm going to start a GoFundMe this weekend to try to get some money to buy a new monitor and some new equipment and another tower, because my good tower got submerged. It was on the floor. And some other stuff that I need to keep doing our movies and our shows, which, luckily our camera and our sound equipment and lighting equipment was here. Normally it's under the bed, but Mary brought it over here so we could shoot our very first interview with our very first guest on the actual TV show we're doing, Breaking the Silence. Now, that was very exciting. Daphne Fletcher was amazing on camera, and it's the first time for her ever talking about her experience publicly. So it's really quite moving, and we got all the footage. I started cutting it, and that was right before this happened. So I'll be going back to that next week and hopefully get that first show up pretty soon. So that's what happened. I think I talked about the car, our lovely Subaru. I just put a bunch of new Michelin tires on and everything. Only had 40,000 miles, and it's gone. So it's been towed off to the wrecking yard. So we have to get a used car, and we're hoping for the money that we'll get from the Subaru, we're going to get a used electric. Now's the time. Reduce the carbon footprint as much as possible. Now, we still have the van, and we still have the sports car, and we won't drive those as much. Once we get the electric, we'll use that for our daily car. So the weird, eerie thing about this whole experience for me is that ever since high school, I've been having dreams about water coming into the house. And the first time it ever happened, well, it was in Pacifica, which is where I grew up. I mean, I was born and raised in San Francisco, but around 1960, I think we moved to Pacifica, California, which is down the peninsula. And my mom bought this house, and then she bought another one. And this house was up on a hill. Up pretty high up, and overlooked the ocean. It was incredible, and you could see the curvature of the earth from our living room. It was amazing. And then about a mile or two away from us was there's a valley. It dropped below, and then it came up again, and over there, about a mile or so away, was another hill with houses on top. I'm setting the scene. So the dream was some strange people in my dream warning me about flooding that would eventually happen on Earth. Well, we all know who that is today. And I remember waking up. I had a waterbed at that time. I was in high school, and my feet went into water the same way it did the night of our flood, our actual flood in the house. And I remember wading through the house with water be above my ankles into the living room. And when I looked out the windows, we were the ocean. The water was over our deck, and we're on a hill, and it goes down. I could see the other hill on the other side away from us, which I described, with the houses, and they were there on top of it. It was very, 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 very scary. Since then, I've had a number of experiences with the visitors present, and I was shown a huge wave, and I did a piece of artwork of it. I think I do have it on this computer. Let's see if I can share that. But I was walking in Agora, was out in the rolling hills. There's these rolling golden hills. It's covered in oak trees, and I heard this noise, and I looked up, and I couldn't believe my eyes. Let's see if I can find it. It was a very large wave. Now, all I have to do here is go to, and I can say, there's somewhere here is, oh, that's right, share screen. I guess is that present? I'm afraid to do anything that might lose you guys. Somewhere in here. No, that wouldn't be here. Okay. Go here. Let's see. Slides, share screen. That's what they're called. This goes over here. Window, enter screen. Chrome tab, window. There we go. Share. Now it's going to share the same thing. So what I want to do now is, I think, go here. Is that what I want to do? I hope I don't mess this up. Pictures. And I should have had this all set up before. Sorry. No. There we are. I'm still here. You know, I went whizzing past it and I saw it. Well, next time I will be more prepared, but I am so Gumby tired. It's crazy. There it is. And there we are. So I'm hoping you're seeing this. I'm going to minimize this for a second. Get rid of that, and I'm going to go back to stream. So you know you're not seeing it. Interesting. Well, you will when I go here. Okay. Nope. There it is. So I am sharing screen right now, so I know you can probably see this. That's a wave. And these are hills and these are little oak trees. And you can see how enormous that is. It was a frightening, frightening dream. Now, I got to stop sharing screen. I got to see how I do that. Okay. Let's see. Stop screen. There. So hopefully you saw that. I'm not sure you did, but I'm going to learn more about how that's done. But there's been so many more dreams that I have like that, and every single one of them has warned me and warned a lot of other people of this impending doom of rising sea levels and floods and natural disasters and stuff. But it was really very, very eerie for me to have experienced this. It was just so surreal what happened. I'm still kind of foggy. I feel like I'm in a dream that won't end. I keep thinking I'll wake up and I'll be in my bed and there's Mary and it's a nice morning. Nova's jumping on us to get up, and none of this ever happened, but it did. And I would imagine a lot of you who will eventually be watching this recorded stream will be able to relate to it, because I've found, since this has happened to me, that a lot of friends of mine have had this happen to their lives and their homes. So the other thing I was going to talk about, well, I'm going to talk about, because this is going to be a short show tonight. I'm feeling it. The next show is going to have Raven Dana, who was at Whitley's cabin in 1989 with a group of people there that Whitley and Ann selected to be present at the house, to basically see what happens. And it happened. They had experiences. And Raven had this rather vivid experience in the morning when she woke up, the early morning, when she thought she saw a raccoon in the window. The window was open, I guess, to let air into the bedroom. And it was perched there. And then she realized it wasn't a raccoon. And I can show you that picture, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to get this down how I do that properly. So we're going to be covering that. And Whitley's going to be on too. So the two of them can talk about in more detail what that night of their cabin was like. And I'm hoping to have some illustrations and stuff to go with it. The show will be a lot more streamed, a lot more streamlined, and better prepared. So that I can click and show you things, and I can show you maybe an animation, and we'll see, but we'll get there. Everybody has to start somewhere with a stream like this, and it'll get fancier and better as time goes by. but like I said, I'm pretty fried. So, well, while uh, we were rescuing things and looking through things and finding things that miraculously survived, unlike a lot of my radio controlled airplane equipment. That's another story. Um, I found a stack of these. The International UFO reporter. You can see Dr. Hynek there. Um, and these are just amazing. Now, when Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out, I went and saw the film, and it was just mind-boggling because, again, there was so much in that film that I knew, but didn't know how I knew it. I would later find that out when Communion came out and read the book, and that's really kind of cascaded into realizing that all these UFOs I've seen all through my life and up close and personal stuff that I was actually connected to it all somehow in a way I'd never considered before. It's one thing to have close encounters of the first kind and second kind, but the third kind, unfortunately, as much as Hynek coined the term close encounters of the third kind, most of the alleged scientific community that take themselves very seriously about their studies of UFOs, they don't like to be associated with people like myself and Whitley and others out there who claim to have actual contact. Now, close encounters of the third kind is where you meet them. Close encounter of the first kind is you see a UFO. Close encounters of the second kind is where there's physical evidence left over. Uh, Close encounters of the third kind is where you meet them. They don't want to be associated with us. I try to be able to post about what I'm doing here on their various pages on Facebook. Most of them blocked me. I didn't even get an answer. I wrote to him and said, is it okay for me to post here? I want to make sure I'm always respectful of the wishes of the administrators, and I don't know exactly where they're at with this stuff. They either didn't answer me or blocked me. I did have one gentleman write back to me and said, "You're really not for us, and best of luck with your endeavors." So that was something. But going back to the UFO reporter, I mean, you can't get a better scientist than Dr. Jan Hynek or Jacques Vallée, for that matter, who both take the close encounter witness very seriously. And we really need a voice. We got all this stuff going on with Seoul and in Congress and everything, and whistleblowers are coming forward, and everybody's coming forward with sightings and reports of sightings being covered up, and the fact that they worked behind the scenes and they saw bodies and they saw spacecraft. But we're not allowed to speak. Not unless we do it the way we're doing it now, which is why we're doing Breaking the Silence, of course. I keep saying it over again, but it's true. Dr. Jan Hynek was doing that a long time ago. Now I have, and so has Jacques Vallée all along. Now this is every single issue, every single one. And I really wish that Hynek was still around. I really wish Stanton Friedman was still around because he took us seriously. Jacques Vallée is very much around still, and it's my hope to get in touch with him and get him on the show. I think we can do that because he's a very kind and generous man. And as I pointed out before, when I was on a talk show with him, he took me inside and he said that this whole experience is aimed at us, the people who are having the close encounter of the third kind. It's not for the people in power. It's not for the military. It's not for the government. It's not for the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, or any of that stuff. It's about the innocent, gentle people who have contact with non-human intelligence. And just like in Close Encounters, it was for them. There's that classic scene where Francois Truffaut is looking out the window and the colonel is annoyed. What do these people want? He says, they belong here more than we. Jacques Vallée said that very same thing to me behind the curtains on a stage. So these things are amazing because inside, in fact, oh, look, speak of, there's Jacques here looking a lot younger. Um, I will take pictures of these so I can share them as slides in future shows. But I mean, these things are jam packed with reports in chronological order, as close encounters of the third kind, first kind, second kind. There was a lot. You know, it's interesting that there was a lot of Congress stuff going on back then too, in the '70s, and not much more. Not much more. This was at the United Nations. Wow. Um, Here's one of here. You can see my name on it, my old address, where I used to live in Toluca Lake, California. Uh, this was June 1977. I'm trying to find one where it shows how he breaks things down. These are all in order, so I don't want to mess them up. But I mean, they're fabulous. I mean, they really are. I mean, it's non thrills. You know, it's very scientific. It's very straightforward. No ads for alien babies or any of that kind of stuff. So uh, at a later date, I'd like to go through these on a show and talk about it a bit. And I'm hoping that some of you out there who will watch this recording also have those, and we can talk about it and share uh, stuff about. Oh, I always like this too. He always put a map on the back of where the most sightings were for that report. Look how many of them are back east. Yeah, it changes around. That one doesn't have one because that was a special report. Um, Again, it's really was consistent back in the 1970s. You can see around Lake Michigan. That's where Raven lives, upstate New York, and all through there. But you see all those dark dots right around Southern California. That's that's us guys down here. This place was a hotbed. It still is of UFO sightings. Um, During the late '70s, I was in my Toluca Lake apartment one night, and I had these two girls I was going out with, and don't go there. But I had these two girls I was going out with, and they joked with me about my interest in UFOs. So they're coming over to my house for Friday night, I think it was, and um, I hear all this banging and banging on my door, and I open it up, and it's the two girls, and they're terrified. They come in the house and they said, "I never wanted to see this. This is something more for you." And I said, "Well, what happened?" They said, "Well, you won't believe it." And I said, "Well, try me." They described a black circle in the sky hovering over the neighborhood in Toluca Lake, with a funny light coming out of it and saucer shaped. And they literally stopped in the street, and there were people because it was just around dusk. Excuse me. And there were people watering their lawns and doing things out in the front of the house. And they tried to get them to look at it. And a couple of them did. And they went, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" And they went back to watering the lawn. They couldn't get anybody to really look at it or take it seriously. Um, and it frightened them a lot. In fact, the whole evening was kind of ruined by what they saw because that's all they wanted to talk about. So, and I was hoping to put them at rest. And then a few days later, my friend Ricky came over and he brought. I mean, keep in mind this is '78. I'm in my mid 20s. He came over and brought a couple girls, and we're going to go out, paint town red. Um, I was in my uh, my bedroom, and I heard this voice in my head, and it said, "Go to the window. You'll see something really amazing." I said, "Seriously?" So I go to the window. I look out. I part the little blinds, the kind you slide up and down, and I look, and I see this bright object in the sky. And it had a couple of lights on it. It wasn't an airplane. I've always known a lot about airplanes, so I knew it wasn't that. So I got very excited and went out and I said, "Hey, you guys, come into the kitchen," because they had a big window there that looked in that direction. And this thing's just wobbling and moving like this. And I had the two girls and my friend Ricky look out the window, and I said, "Look, you stay here. I want to go outside and see if I could hear any sound. They said, okay. And they're watching it. And I go outside and I get outside, it's gone. So I never got to hear if it was making a sound or not. I wanted to see if it was a plane or a jet. I come back up the stairs and they were white. I mean, they were just like pale white. It's scared to death. So you'll never guess what happened. And again, they said, I never wanted to see anything like this. Evidently, the object broke into two pieces like this and shot straight up in the sky, leaving a streak and was gone in a matter of seconds. Now, that evening, all kinds of weird things went on. We went to the restaurant. There was the alarms are going off in the parking lot. A friend of mine that was out that same night, he was in another restaurant and the lights were flickering in there and the alarms are going off in the cars. So I come home. It's 2 in the morning. I go and I look out the window in the kitchen, thinking about what had happened that night. And all of a sudden, the sky lit up like bright as daylight, brighter. And it was amazing. It was so bright. And the house had fluorescent lights. And looking down into the courtyard, there were fluorescent lights there, but they were all off for the evening. They all started to flicker and glow. That was a tremendous, tremendous static discharge of electricity from whatever did that. Um, I found out later there was a power plant that was knocked out nearby, but it didn't affect us. And this is the kind of stuff that was going on during the 70s, and I saw plenty of it. And we'll talk about this stuff more in future shows. But I see now it is 6:30, and sometimes these shows will go to an hour, maybe more. But right now, I'm on the free version of SteamYard. I'm allowed 2 hours a month. So I can do 4 shows that are 30 minutes long. Uh, very soon, after we get some money coming into Patreon, I can pay StreamYard. Yeah. It's about 250 a year for the service, and you get so many unlimited features. It's amazing what they give you for free, but they give you unlimited time and features and that stuff. So we're working towards that. Right now, I'm bleeding money, and so is Mary, because our insurance so far is not being claim is not being honored. However, there's a law that states that the insurance company has to offer you flood insurance, and you have to turn it down, and it has to be on record that you turned it down. And if that never happened, then they still have to honor your claim. Now, we do have disaster insurance, but they tried to say, well, this wasn't a disaster. This was a flood. So what is it? What is a disaster if it isn't a flood? I mean, that was a natural disaster, right? So eventually we will get these people and we'll get some money. But in the meantime, I'm going to do a GoFundMe and do what I can to bring some money in. So, and I definitely want to get this service paid for. It's a lousy $250, and then I can pay them, and we can talk for an hour or more, and it won't make any difference. So hopefully we'll get more people. I sent this out to all my Facebook, 2,500 friends, and let's see who showed up. One, two friends from Facebook. That was it. There's something about this subject matter that just it's like talking about. I don't know. I could talk about I was a drug addict, which I never was, but I could talk about that, and that'd be fine. I could talk about seeing Jesus in a role, and that would be fine. I could be born again. That would be fine. It's just all that kind of stuff's fine. But when you bring up the subject of UFOs and non-human intelligence and have an actual contact with it, you could just hear a pin drop. And that's why we're doing Breaking the Silence. We want to end that pin sound dropping and my nose running. So, guys, thanks for showing up tonight. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask before I leave, because we do have chat. If not, I'm going to sign off, and Mary and I are going to go get some rest. We're staying at a Marriott. Is it Courtyard? One of those. For the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to be staying here till we can move back in the house. So Nobody has any comments, so I'm going to. Oh, did you ever read Frank Edwards' books in the 1960s? He started revealing info from Project Blue Book. I may have. I wrote a lot of books in the 60s, and one of them was George uh, Adamski. Um, Now, of course, he talked about them being from Venus and things like that. But here's the thing: I think we need to go back and look at those cases because if you look at the photographs he has and stuff, some of them could be fake, but some of them look pretty good to me. And how are we to know that whatever he was in contact with wasn't telling him that just because they told him that? But they felt that might be something he'd understand. It might be from another dimension. They figured he wouldn't understand that, or they were trying to hide where they're from. So, well, we're from Venus, that kind of thing. Because when I go back and remember reading Adamski's books, the way he described the inside of the cigar ships and stuff seemed very, very familiar to me at the time. In fact, it felt I kind of longed for that space, like I had been there before. And who knows? Maybe I have been. What is Chris Hand Purple Blue Peace? I'm not sure what that is. Can you elaborate? While I wipe my nose. Sorry, guys. No, you're not going to elaborate. I hand purple blue piece. Hand purple. A hand purple? It is kind of purple. And then Herman's got his finger up there. Yep, Lily. So if you guys don't have any more questions, I will sign off here, and we'll be in much better shape next time. We're going to have lighting, guests, a nice intro, which I'm working on a new intro for the show. And yeah, thank you and good night. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Good. Oh, okay. Good night, Chris. Anyway, it'll be a lot better thing, but I wanted to do something tonight. Well, because it was cathartic for me. And Mary and I have been through hell, literally hell. And I am not going to get emotional on camera, at least not this time. But you guys, it's been really, really difficult. And I want to thank many of you who hopefully will watch this later on for your support because you have been showing your support. It's greatly appreciated by Mary and I. And we will see you hopefully next week. It all depends on when Whitley's schedule will allow it. And if he's up for it, I know Raven's up for it. We'll have them on and we'll do that show. Anyway, this is Steve Neal signing off from Breaking the Silence, and we'll see you guys again, hopefully, next week.